The New York Jets have made a significant change at a disappointing start, I would say, compared to what people thought their record would be, but they are 2-3, and after their loss against the Minnesota Vikings out in London, it looks like Woody Johnson is prepared to move on from head coach Robert Saleh and also replace him with defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, who will be the interim coach moving forward. Saleh finishes with a career record of 20-36 in 3+ seasons as the head coach of the New York Jets. I would like to know immediately, are you surprised that the Jets would decide at this point in the season to move off of Robert Saleh?
I guess overall I'm not surprised they're moving off of him, but I'm a little surprised at the timing right now. I mean, the Jets are only one game out of first place in their division. They lost to Minnesota, who's undefeated and the number one power ranked team in the NFL, and they played them in London. I mean, that's a little odd. That's not like there's really a home team or a away team when you're playing in London. So those games can go either way. And I thought that they played respectably against the Vikings. They had the chance to win the game. It's Rodgers was the problem in that game. He had 3 interceptions in the game. And they play the Bills on Monday night for a chance to take over first place. So why wouldn't they give him another week? If he got blown out by the Bills, then you could say, yeah, he's got to be out of here. We're 2 games behind the Bills. We got Aaron Rodgers. We have one of the best defenses in the league. We beefed up our offensive line. Maybe they're going to go try to get Devontae Adams too. I don't know. Maybe that's I would say that's in the wings right now, because it seems to me that Aaron Rodgers is kind of running this team. And I look at Saleh. He came in today. He had no idea he was going to be fired. Called into a meeting with Woody Johnson and Vice Chairman Chris Johnson. I guess that's his son. During which he learned his fate. He's out. He had to be escorted out by security. It's pretty low, I would say. Johnson later said the firing decision was made to give one of the most talented teams ever assembled by the Jets the opportunity to win this season. Now, is it the most talented team the Jets have had in 25 years? I don't know. I guess you say that because they have Aaron Rodgers. Well, he was an MVP 4 times. He's won a Super Bowl, but those are far in the distance. Those are far in the past, Nate. I can hardly remember that stuff now. He's played his last year in Green Bay, played poorly. He was out all last season with an Achilles heel injury. That injury, who knows? Maybe that could come back to haunt him later on. He's played spotty this year so far. He played well against the Patriots. Well, the Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL. So I'd say, they say, Woody Johnson says, this is the best team I've had in 25 years. The best way to go forward is a new direction. Well, a new direction with a defensive coordinator when your defense is one of the best in the NFL? Why would you go with a defensive coordinator? You can't go with. I can understand why you wouldn't go with with Hackett, right? He was a bomb in with the Broncos, but he's Rodgers' boy, and they hung on to him, even though he could be part of the problem. But Rodgers regularly audibles out of the plays and makes his own calls. This is Rodgers' team, and I'll come back with some more evidence of that in a minute.
Should we be surprised that the Jets are this bad and this dysfunctional? Because that's all they've been for at least my entire lifetime, all for about 2 years. If you include the Mark Sanchez couple years where they made the playoffs a couple times, you know what? I'll even include the 2015 season with Ryan Fitzpatrick where they had actually a very, very good season. But you know what? I've been back and forth this season because they looked like trash against the 49ers, then they beat up on the Patriots, and then they beat the Tennessee Titans, and then we look at, recently it's like, what the hell is going on? But I think that's expected. I'm shocked. I'm the same emotion as the rest of the Jets players. Shocked. Stunned even. Because why? Why fire him? Is he the issue? I'm going to go with no. I'm going to defend Robert Saleh here. I don't think he should be fired. And while Woody Johnson saying this is ultimately his decision. I find it very strange how he said he talked with Aaron Rodgers Monday night, but they only discussed the game and not about Woody Johnson's, ultimate decision of firing Robert Saleh. I find that very strange and almost impossible that the owner speaking to the future first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback is not about to tell you, hey, by the way, your head coach, he's about to be escorted out the door by security. I find that very strange, and you know what? I don't really believe it. But I think when it comes down to it, Robert Saleh is a defensive coach. The thing that the problem with Brandon Staley and what a lot of people wanted Brandon Staley to be fired for was the Chargers defense was garbage. It literally set records to be the worst defense in the first 4 years of a quarterback's career. Justin Herbert had to endure that while also putting up the most yards and points in the first 4 years of a quarterback's career. That's how good the Chargers offense was and how poor the Chargers defense was with Brandon Staley being a defensive coach. It's kind of the opposite side for Robert Saleh, and that actually helps him out. Because if we look at the Jets offense, I'm taking away the rookie year, the 2021 year, because they were still dealing with Adam Gase and that complete monstrosity of a situation. So I took off that first year. So let's go to since 2022. This is the Jets offense. It's bottom 10, if not bottom 3 in every category. Points scored, total offense, pass offense, rush offense, third down offense, and red zone offense. It is the worst. With points scored, they've scored the fewest points in the NFL since 2022. But Robert Saleh is a defensive coach. So let's look at how his defense has performed over that same time frame. Oh, it's top 7 in basically everything, with total defense and passing defense being number 1 in the NFL over that time frame. So we cannot say that Robert Saleh has not done his job as a coach. He is a defensive coach. I do not see Sean Payton being involved in the defense. I do not see, first of all, Nick Sirianni, he still gets some credit, and before the last season downfall, we were still crediting him for having such a great run to make it to the Super Bowl. He doesn't call anything. He leaves it up to his coordinators to call everything. Sean Payton doesn't touch the defensive side. Andy Reid doesn't touch the defensive side. Robert Saleh, I guarantee you, probably is not touching the offensive side because he's doing what he needs to do on the defense, which is the strength. And I find it shocking. I find it disappointing. I find it appalling that Nathaniel Hackett was not a package deal to be fired, because the one problem with the New York Jets this season, and as the statistics show and as the eye test shows, the defense has never been an issue for the New York Jets, at least since Robert Saleh got there. It has always been the offense. And to blame Robert Saleh for a bad quarterback drafts of Zach Wilson, to have him deal with Aaron Rodgers and his torn Achilles in year 1 when everybody was super hyped about Rodgers coming to the Jets, and now you're blaming Robert Saleh for the offensive failures because, now I'm going to call this out right now, Aaron Rodgers, and this was known even before Rodgers got there. Rodgers is now really the owner of the New York Jets. He has now owned, if you want to really say it, 3 teams. He's owned now the New York Jets. He's owned the Green Bay Packers. And just based on how he plays, he also owns the Chicago Bears. But I think when it comes down to it, this is a horrible decision. I think this is an impulse decision. I think Woody Johnson saying that this is the best team he's ever assembled in 25 years. I think that very well might be true, although Darrelle Revis and, So Bart Scott, all the great defensive players they've had over the years. I don't know if maybe in totality, including the offense, I might give you that. But I'm saying no. I think this is a bad decision, impulse decision. Mm-hmm. You're really firing the wrong guy.
Okay. Well, Saleh is a great defensive coach. I'll give you that. Top 5 in yards allowed and top 12 in points allowed in the past 2 seasons. For 2024, he's 2nd in yards allowed and 5th in points given up.
Yeah.
They never figured out the offense under Saleh, though. Bottom quarter of the NFL in yards and scoring in each of his 4 years. You showed the stats up there. They were terrible.
I'll bring it up again.
He couldn't develop Zach Wilson. He was a disaster. He bungled the transition with Wilson last year after Rodgers was hurt. It was Wilson in there for a while, and then Trevor Siemian was in there, and then
Tim Boyle
was in there for a couple of games, and then Wilson came back. He got hurt, and then if Simeon was in there, I think maybe they've been better off with Simeon the whole time because Simeon actually did okay there near the end of the season. The offense has struggled under Rodgers this year, 18.6 points per game, and inconsistent and what appears to be an outdated scheme. I have several questions.
Sure.
That this firing raises. Why would you pick a defensive coordinator as head coach when the defense is among the best? How is he going to fire up the offense and fix it? Did Rodgers have anything to do with this firing?
I think yes.
Does this move influence the effort to bring in Davante Adams? The answers to these questions.
Oh, you have them? Okay.
Yeah. Ulbrich is a poor choice, but you couldn't pick Hackett, who bombed as the Broncos head coach.
That's true.
He probably has little idea how to fix the offense, which is just what Rodgers wants. Because Rodgers basically controls Hackett and often changes the play at the line of scrimmage. So it's his team. Rodgers now is in the driver's seat of the offense, controls Hackett, and will lobby hard for Davante Adams to be traded for, which I think will also happen.
Well, I'll say this also. Why are you blaming Saleh for players being disappointments? Breece Hall, who everybody was hyped about, him having a tremendous season. In the past game against the Minnesota Vikings, this is how good he was. 3 receptions, 14 yards, 23 rushing yards on 9 carries. That's pitiful. That's actually pitiful.
That's a problem with the offense. They need to use him more. They went too much pass happy, and look what happened. 3 interceptions. Yeah. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is over the hill. Maybe Davante Adams won't be so interested in going to the Jets.
Depends on what his end goal is. If he wants Super Bowl, probably, yeah. If he wants
a Super Bowl, he might be interested in the Bills. You know, maybe that's what the Bills. We're going to talk about them later on the show. That's what the Bills is missing. That's maybe what the Bills are missing.
Are we blaming Robert Saleh for Rodgers throwing 3 interceptions? One that was a pick six.
I don't think that's his fault at all.
Are we blaming Robert Saleh for Sauce Gardner assaulting Justin Jefferson on 3 penalties? No. I don't think so.
No,
he was all over him. 3 penalties in that game. By the way, Sauce Gardner led the entirety of Week 5 in penalties. By the way, how about this? Are we blaming Robert Saleh for Allen Lazard being one of the worst catching receivers in the NFL since he got there? Because that sounds a lot like Rodgers, the GM. He wanted Randall Cobb, who, as predicted last year, was a no factor. Allen Lazard had the highest drop percentage last season, and right now this season, he leads the league in drops. Are we blaming that on Robert Saleh, or are we blaming that on Joe Douglas and Aaron Rodgers? Because some of those players, like Lazard, like Cobb, got there before Rodgers got there. Hackett got there before Rodgers got there. That's on ownership. That's on general manager. That can't be on Robert Saleh. Yes, Robert Saleh could be like, yeah, okay, sure. But it's really the Rodgers influence on the Jets to say, you know what? It would be cool if I had Lazard. And Joe Douglas and Woody Johnson are like, well, if he wants it, let's go get him right now. Mercedes Lewis he also wanted. David Bakhtiari he also wanted. Rodgers controls the Jets. This decision proves it. Because he was a little bit frustrated with Saleh, podium, about the cadence situation. I don't care about all that. Yes, does Robert Saleh not have a great podium situation? Absolutely. But look at it on the field. Does he do his job? He works on the defense. The defense, as the statistics show, is one of the best defenses since Robert Saleh got there.
Yeah, well, he is the head coach, though. I mean, he is responsible for the offense, too.
Nick Sirianni doesn't call anything.
That's true, but
Sean Payton doesn't call defense.
His offense isn't a total disaster.
Did Belichick call offense? No.
No.
Yeah, he's the head coach. He's responsible. But does he call the plays that are failing the Jets? No, that's on Nathaniel Hackett. And the fact that Hackett is staying there just on the merit that Rodgers likes him, that right there is malpractice.
That's because Rodgers.
That right there is a bad thing. That's because
Rodgers tells Hackett what to do.
Exactly.
And when he doesn't like what Hackett calls, he audibles out of it.
I think right now that's an indictment on just how great the Jets are run, which is not very great.
Yeah,
that's on Woody Johnson being, you know what,
lack of accountability, lack of discipline.
I will say this though, I will say, this is just how it works out. The coach always goes before the quarterback. That's always how it works out. The coach goes before the quarterback. That's just think about it. Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett. Who went first? Hackett. Then Russ. Derek Carr. Jimmy Garoppolo. Who went first? Josh McDaniels. Then Garoppolo left. And also Derek Carr. You could talk about a bunch of coaches that left before Derek Carr left. It's always the coach, then the quarterback. Because the quarterback is the most important position in the NFL. They really have more power. If you're an established quarterback, you have more power than any head coach, really. Unless you're an Andy Reid, a Kyle Shanahan, a Sean Payton, a Bill Belichick. If you're just a mediocre, like right now, I would say Joe Burrow has more power over Zach Taylor. I think if Jalen Hurts wasn't playing so poorly, he would have more power over Nick Sirianni. But I think they are both just in the same boat of just bad performances. Mm-hmm. I think Josh Allen has more power over Sean McDermott.
Yeah, you may be right.
If you're a very good quarterback and your coach sucks, you have more say than your coach does when it comes down to it. The coach will get fired before the quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers is a lot better than Robert Saleh because they canned him.
I completely agree.
I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers better step up and play better than he's been playing so far, or the media in New York is going to kill him, and so are the fans.
I would say they already are, and I think it's honestly a good thing because he's played terrible. He has not played up to the standards and the expectations that the Jets themselves and the fans and the media surrounding them have set for them because Rodgers is a multi-time MVP winner. He has won a Super Bowl.
They could have won the game against Minnesota if he hadn't thrown 3 interceptions.
Absolutely. So I think it's expectations. The expectations for Rodgers on the Jets with Mike Williams, with Garrett Wilson, with Breece Hall, with Tyler Conklin, with a great defense, with a rebuilt offensive line. The expectations were you would perform very well. And Aaron Rodgers himself has not performed even close to good. He has performed mediocre at best. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Drew Brees.
He played well against the Patriots. That's the only
Every team plays well. The Miami Dolphins with Tyler Huntley just beat the New England Patriots.
I know.
And here's what's crazy. Before that game, the Dolphins were still a better offense than the Patriots were. That's how bad the Patriots are this season. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.